Hey y'all. So the other day somebody told me they really like my videos, so that kind of inspired me to make one. It's been a while, so thank you for your patience. And I wanted to bring a post back that I made quite a while ago, but feels especially relevant in kind of our current context. And it's all about when you do not need to resolve a conflict with somebody. Now, you might be asking, aren't you a conflict mediator, Eddie? Like, don't you want us to resolve our conflicts? Absolutely. I want people to have conflict skills. I want people to feel confident working through conflict, as it can be like really transformative and generative. But sometimes I also get people coming up to me trying to resolve conflicts that really seem like a big waste of time or just the incorrect approach. So I kind of wanted to talk about what some of those examples might be. So the first one really being people who abuse you. So in abusive situations, conflict resolution isn't going to work. We don't have safety. We don't have trust. If you are in danger, then I would say the best thing is to get yourself to safety. I do really encourage people to learn about the difference between discomfort and danger. Because those two often get mixed up when people come to me and they use the wrong words like violence or abuse, and it's actually just discomfort from somebody challenging a belief or challenging a behavior. And definitely those things can feel threatening to us, but they're not the same as somebody physically hurting you, somebody psychologically or emotionally tormenting you, terrorizing you, humiliating you. Abusing their power, right? Those things constitute as abuse, and conflict resolution really isn't going to be appropriate for that. The second one is people who refuse to be accountable for their own behavior. There's really this misconception that we can force people to become accountable, and that's not really true. In order to get authentic accountability, we really, really need somebody to want to change their behavior, understand why it's a problem, work on their patterns. We can't really make somebody do that by force. It doesn't really work. Again, like, people need to be there in good faith. Third, people who only criticize because they do not want to see you change or grow. So relationships that are not reciprocal, mutually beneficial. If you always give somebody feedback and they brush it off, but they constantly have feedback for you, it could actually be that your change or growth is threatening to them. And so therefore they don't want to see it happen. In those instances, they aren't necessarily coming in good faith, so conflict resolution might not be the best approach. People who only want a one-sided relationship with you. So people who only want something from you, or they want you to give and they take, but they don't want to give anything back. Really, you need to kind of reconsider if that's a relationship that's worth being in. If the person can't actually be accountable for their own behavior and kind of see their part in the dynamic, you might really want to reconsider whether it's worth investing the time and energy that conflict resolution takes, because if we can't get to the root of the problem, which could be the fact that it's a one-sided relationship, you're probably not going to see that type of accountability, and it might just be a really big energy suck for you. And lastly, people who want to diminish your humanity. So very similar to abuse, if somebody is perpetuating really inappropriate behaviors, racism, homophobia, misogyny, whatever, if they're abusing power, if they have no ability to see you as a whole and complete person, then they're not going to be able to have compassion for you. They're not going to be able to listen and kind of really understand your experience, which is absolutely crucial in the conflict resolution process. In these instances, in instances of abuse, in instances of people diminishing your humanity, if you are unlikely as one individual going to get them to change their behavior. In those instances, we really require social pressure to get people to realize that the way that they're behaving is inappropriate. And, I don't mean by necessarily like bullying or, exiling or whatever, but I really do think that the reason social norms exist around behavior is because humans are social creatures. We need community and connection. So that's actually really important to us. And if the community is saying, hey, what you're doing is wrong, these are not our values, these are not the behaviors that we accept, it really pressures people to reflect and think about the way that they're behaving. So often in cases of abuse, harm, diminishing somebody's humanity, it's not going to be the individual person who's experiencing the harm who's going to be able to make that change, nor is it really their responsibility. It's usually a community change that is required, and community pressure, which is a whole other discussion. Anyway, all this to say is that you can actually choose to resolve or not resolve any conflict that you are in. It's absolutely your choice to decide where you want to put your energy in, what relationships are worthwhile working towards resolution for. And though I do encourage people to try to resolve conflict, it might be wise to look at this list at some point. And if the conflict that you are in falls into one of these categories, you might want to reconsider. And also, you might want to talk to a professional to get some advice. So really never hesitate to bring in an outside professional to tell them kind of what your situation is and get their take on how you could proceed. I offer free 30-minute intakes with clients to kind of get a better idea of what your situation is and see if my services can support, and if not, kind of what options might be available to you otherwise. So thank you so much. I hope this video was helpful, and have a lovely rest of your weekend.